Well, going back to the game theory, when we have other nations looking at potentially creating Bitcoin strategic reserves, and we have had such bullish rhetoric from President Trump, is it possible that if they decide to do something, that Bitcoin could just skyrocket and hit, I don't know, seven figures in the next 2 years?
It's always possible because the supply is very constrained. So if gold demand 10x'd over the next year, suddenly there'd be a lot more gold that you would find
Right.
in supply, right? I think China just announced that they found like some $1 trillion gold reserve.
Yes.
El Salvador's talking about
Yes.
$1 trillion gold reserve. Costs a lot of money to dig that stuff out of the ground. Often higher prices are the catalyst to make it affordable. Bitcoin's not like that. So, you know, I wouldn't say never, but I think a 10x in 2 years, it's beyond what my expectations would be.
So you're hearing this narrative time and time again. $1 million over the next 2 years. Is this realistic? The Bitcoin Bros will be looking at all this before this video is out, so make sure you watch this one to the end. And with that, what's happening, Crypto Crew? Sean's coming back at you, another cryptocurrency video. And getting straight into it, the current time it's recording, we're trading right below 105 at 104.9K. We just broke 105 as we speak. So what do we see? What do we anticipate? Right now, the Fisher indicator is pointing down. And could we just be stair-stepping our way up? Could this roll back over? Yes, most definitely. We're sitting right around that 1 range. Could we see a reversal and a bounce up to the upside? Potentially. But look right here. We want you to see this green box and then this green box right here. Once we got up and retested all-time high levels, what did the Bitcoin price do? It actually wicked above this temporarily, didn't have any candle closes, and then we had that closeout, that pullback down to the $92,000 range. Tried again, failed, and fell all the way down to the 70s, 75,000 to be exact. So the bigger question is, when we got back up into this territory, above that 92 range, what did the price action do? Is there any symmetry we see in these charts? Well, you see we came into this in a bullish pattern. We came in, double bottomed out. W, potentially continuation, didn't happen, fell down. So we haven't seen that double bottom and we haven't fell all the way back down to 92K. Is that what we're going to see, or are we going to have this continuation to the upside? At the current time, you can't discount this. Bitcoin got back above this level, actually had candle closes, fell back below, but is still stair-stepping its way up. So could we get that bump to see new all-time highs in the near future? Time will definitely tell. And then look at this Bitcoin price model. Here's the cycle model here, the yellow line. This almost aligns perfectly with the peak back in 2021 and the bear market bottom perfectly. And look at right here. This looks like this could be a peak sometime around end of Q3, start of Q4 of this year. And check out this chart from Jesse Myers. We want to give credit where it's due. So this is a thesis that he's given saying that Bitcoin treasury companies will accumulate 50% of all Bitcoin and become a $140 trillion industry. This is the treasury company. So you got MicroStrategy, when it's all said and done, by the year 2045, holding $70 trillion in Bitcoin. And the other assets, Metaplanet, 21, etc., holding the other 70 trillion, totaling that $140 trillion. Right now, MicroStrategy owns 91%, 630 Bitcoin in total, and the thesis is based off of all these companies hopping into the game over the next 2 decades, MicroStrategy's overall market share will decrease down to 50% from 91%, and these other companies will gobble up 50%, totaling 10.5 million Bitcoin. Is this realistic? What's your guys' take on this? And speaking of Bitcoin treasuries, there's a lot going on. As of late, Metaplanet jumped a few spots on the leaderboards, coming in at number 8. With all these companies FOMOing into buying Bitcoin, what is the thing that you have to pay attention to and understand when it comes to risk. Check out this clip.
Think about the corporate treasuries. I mean, because there's so many popping up, and
Yeah.
I'm a little worried about the next bear market because I don't think that all of them can survive, and maybe some might take on too much leverage, and that could be worrisome.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, all the leverage is building up just in time for the top and the bust. I mean, I just hope my message out there to everybody who's into this business is Bitcoin has done -70 and -80% before, and it can do it again. If your business model can't handle a -80% Bitcoin drawdown, rework your business model right now. Because, I think we're getting toward the very shaky ground of the top and the fall from it.
Do you think we're
Historically,
near a top?
I think so. I mean, historically, this is usually the time when we get the top. Between 1 year and 18 months after the halving.
But
Historically.
we're actually underperforming the last halving cycles. Like we should be up higher in terms of the price.
Well,
so-
yeah, if you measure from the time of the halving, but the difference is that usually the bull market would have started just before the halving. But now we had a significant bull market well before the halving. So that's why it looks like we're underperforming since the halving. But, since the bottom, we were up from, 15K to 109. That's not inconsiderable. 110, I think we hit is the highest, or 111,
I think 112. Yeah.
112, yeah, I think 112 is the highest. But I think we're getting to that point where it's going to be very volatile both ways.
At the current time of this recording, we had a close of this in the U.S. market being at around $9. We're at $13.30 at the current time of this recording. What do we see for the next target to pay attention to? Looking to the left of the charts, we have melted through all this downwards pressure and blasted up, blasted from this previous peak here around that $1,000 range, psychological level. And then looking up into the left, we don't really see too much traffic here. So the actual target that we could be going up to potentially by this year, we could see another 400% increase in the prices of 5x from where it is right now, around 6,700. Could we go higher? Most definitely. A 5x in the price would take Metaplanet up to $45. Is that realistic? Potentially. Not financial advice. And right here at the blockchain group, Alexander Lazette, he's calling for all shareholders, only a few days left to vote for their $10 billion in euro Bitcoin capital raising capacity increase by June 5th. This is massive. Why is this? This is giving them the ability to go out and get up to $10 billion. If you don't know the blockchain group ticker, it's altbg. Right now in euros, they're trading around $3.46, and they've had a massive rally to the upside as well. They will hold their annual general meeting on June 10th, seeking shareholder approval to raise 10 billion euros to accelerate their Bitcoin treasury strategy. And if you look them up and see what their overall market capitalization, you're around $400 million. So if they bought $10 billion in Bitcoin at the current price around 105,000, obviously the price is going to fluctuate before they can spend all that. This is just the preliminary approval. But just so you can see how much Bitcoin this company could acquire with this $10 billion raise, you're looking at 95,000 Bitcoin. On top of what they have around 14 to 1,500 right now. So a huge, huge Bitcoin yield, Bitcoin per share increase, Bitcoin overall increase to this company's treasury. Big things are happening with the blockchain group. You want to stay on top of them, go ahead and follow Alexander Lazette, Deputy CEO of the blockchain group. Adam Beck is weighing in on all these corporate strategies that's going on with these Bitcoin treasuries that's popping up left and right. He's talking about what he sees in the future. Let's hear from Adam.
I think realistically, with the amount of M2 monetary expansion, even though the inflation rates are supposedly down, we're going to see financial repression, i.e. inflation rates way above the prime rates. And so for anybody with cash or US treasuries, they're literally losing 5 to 10% a year. And so, all of the companies with cash reserve have a fiduciary duty to preserve shareholder value, and they're failing at that if they're not holding on to that cash reserve value. And effectively, over the last decade, nothing has outperformed Bitcoin. So I think in a way, the treasury companies adopting Bitcoin as part of their treasury are also using the idea that Bitcoin is effectively the hurdle rate. If you can't outperform Bitcoin, you should at least hold some of it. And in the long run, once Bitcoin is fully adopted, of course, it won't be growing as fast because it'll be saturated.
So you understand why all these companies are running towards Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the hurdle rate, and Bitcoin is going to keep appreciating over time. Zooming out on the Bitcoin price, look here. We see Bitcoin's at 105, and we've been trading in this upwards channel since we can remember, since 2013. And it looks like Bitcoin just comes to the peak, resistance, support, resistance, didn't come all the way down, but tested the resistance again, came back down to support, sort of grinding up by support. So the next time we come back up towards these levels, look right here. This is by February of 2026. That's a $600,000 price target. So you can see as time progresses how Bitcoin can become oversold, overbought, and how things can change very quickly for this ecosystem. Bitcoin is growing at a rapid pace, and it is still early. Will it always be early? No. You still have an opportunity. Don't miss out. And with that, I'm Sean with the Bitcoin Bros. You guys like this content, go ahead and smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and show us some love. We appreciate each and every one of you. And with that, I'm out.